Akustiesa yo kafe koyo apami mushoni. Nate moge bare pieno luka kusipe munevi. Onu konet kome yo se kono tut sa benefits. For only wonders you done for us, Lord. Spreading the culture all over the world. For all the good things that you done for God, that's why we thanking you. We thanking you, brother. Acha no mundo su casa, que chale yo fue muy busy. Ono kone kwa yo akuma smarter than music. All the men that some fix right with them see you. Vivian all this sex like one who first check you. Yo passe tout les voyages de musique nous. Mais attention, je ne sais qui l'a fait. Si pas que va dire qui a poussé. For all the wonders you done for us, Lord. Spreading the culture all over the world. For all the good things that you done for God, that's why we thanking you. We thanking you, brother. Papua wete ba moun plela yo moja kite la vi. Akustiesa yo kafe koyo amami muchoni. Nate moge bare pieno luka kusipe munevi. Onu konet kome yo se kono tut sa benefits. For all the wonders you done for us, Lord. Spreading the culture all over the world. For all the good things that you done for God, that's why we thanking you. We thanking you, brother. Pour tout ça au café, et pour jamais, je porte sur nous. Et tout ça au café, tout cadastre l'esprit. Et dit tout ça, pour les frères, aujourd'hui, pour nous dire merci. Great products, 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 great products. Thank you, thank you. Very much. A blessed morning, Dominica. Good morning, Eastern Caribbean. Welcome to another Creole Heartbeat program. We are here live in the big station Q95 FM. It's a pleasure to be in your company. Today, we'll be heading across to the Helen of the West as we're going to explore the Creole language with someone special. Very soon from now, they'll be hooked up and logged on in the Helen of the West St. Lucia. So we're going to be actually looking at the development of the Creole language in the Helen of the West St. Lucia. At one point in time, we were going head to head. There were several collaborations, several research programs, research development programs were done. But somewhere along the line, St. Lucia left us behind and actually have Creole in the schools presently. So we'll be talking to someone very important. Is also part of the reparation committee. Lots of talk about reparation those days, as we just heard of the new leader of Burkina Faso and several attacks from the Western world to this major and powerful leader in Burkina Faso. But we'll be shortly joined by our special guest from the Helen of St. Lucia. It's a weekend where we celebrate May Day. And very importantly, it's the May Day is not supposed to be a party weekend, but for somehow we have turned it into this. This particular day, May Day, was dedicated for the workers. And one remember the huge motorcades, the huge rallies during the May Day celebrations. It switched from the 1st of May to the first Monday and vice versa. But now we celebrated the first Monday. It is important that this particular holiday, that somewhere along the line, the trade unions must come together. I've been hearing talk about a trade union congress for over 25 years. Let's hope that finally some movement is made. I heard they will be having a joint trade union activity for the weekend. Let's hope it can be the beginning, the commencement of a trade union congress. We have been actually wanting that unified body where the trade union movement, industrial relations can be on a particular pedestal. But let's hope that this time things will work. We heard four unions are already on board, and let's hope the other unions can join so we can have one voice actually trying to get better arrangements for the worker. But once again, workers by extension need to take heed of this particular day. It's not dedicated for CO and to go on the beach and to go and party. It's a day in solidarity with the worker. And one would remember several of the giants of the trade union movement who have been very active in this trade union movement already. A call is coming. Let's see if the caller want to just join into the reason for me. They will have our looked up. We'll hook up to a friend from St. Lucia in a while. Good morning to you, Creole Heartbeat.
What this morning, I'm not the caller. I just want to tell you morning and the support you have given to the culture and for us to remain as a Caribbean connection. I know your heart is dear to the Caribbean. I mean, you have seen Lucy Douglas at fight for the even in the French Antilles between Guadeloupe and Martinique for us to be get closer together. You remember this, how you call that, this Portsmouth set what pass where
Yes,
you
yes,
bring a lot of French people.
Yes, yes.
And Wadix, I know your heart is there for Dominica, and I wonder who's going to replace you, Wadix. I mean, I'm talking from my experience with you. You are very connected to human being, and this is the things we do get in among much. We are very divided. I listen to a program with Father Branca and some few people on Sunday on Q95, and I really would like Mr. Gregor to think about it, to get a priest like Father. You see, like the show Fodina used to have there on a Sunday to give the youth direction. And while it's one of those days, I know you're a Christian man. I would like you to put something together in Roseau to get people like Asa Banton to sing that guy's song. You remember that guy first he had bring around a tooth fairy after he died, get a heart attack in Martinique. Remember first some from Tilbush used to sing a Kadas Christian song.
Yes, you're talking about Xavier Foster.
Yes. I would like you to get some organization between a priest and get Asa Bantan and let us sing those songs on a Sunday with you guys is because we need that in the world. We still know you're joking. You have a bad spirit in there and we have to break that. And I want to congratulate you, Wadix. But Mr. Sheridan Gregor, you need a person like Branca John on a Sunday afternoon, maybe from 7 to 8 to 9, to have a positive youth program. God bless you, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much, Ronnie,
love
and love also to you and the work that you're doing. So yeah, we were just on to big up Ronnie for once again the solidarity and the blessings. Yeah, we're still trying to hook up with our friend, by the way, and his name, by the way, is okay. Bless up every time, Ronnie. Take it easy.
Good man, have a good afternoon.
All right. Okay. So that was Ronnie, as usual, giving us full support. So we're trying to hook up with Earl Bousquet, and he's from St. Lucia. He's the chair of the St. Lucia National Reparations Committee and a member of the CARICOM Reparations Commission. Also, he's a senior political correspondent, talk show host, and voice columnist. He's also the editor of The Voice of St. Lucia and Voice Publishing Company in St. Lucia. Has been part of this journey, 49-year-old journey, as a chronic Caribbean chronicler, exploring the intersection of St. Lucia. So we are still trying to hook up with Earl Bousquet from St. Lucia. We're going to be dealing and talking about St. Lucia's development of the Creole language. But we just want to continue our conversation because it's the May Day weekend and want to remember the work of people like E.C. Low Black, real champion. EC Low Black, all free. Remember the days of Louis Benoit, that they used to be called Zaboka, or also Arnold Active, and they were actually part of the commencement of the Waterfront and Allied Workers Union. People like Mr. Nicholas was also part of the Dominica Trade Union movement. Also, one remembers is Anthony Frederick Joseph from Dawu, played a tremendous role in really getting the workers together. Also, a former president, Charles Savre, people like Smith, who just died, and several other trade unions leaders came to the forefront. Miss Solomon, from she later came to the Waterfront and Allied Workers. But then, most importantly, this particular day, the May Day, was a very special day dedicated to the worker, and there would be a major motorcade in the streets of the capital city to culminate with a major rally in solidarity. We had several people like Curtis Augustus from the Waterfront and Allied Workers Union. We also had presently Amor Thomas, who is still doing some work with the Waterfront and Allied Workers Union. We just heard from our DTU former boss who went to the Wild Beyond from Marigot. But several of those trade union leaders, they fought for this particular day. They fought for the ordinary worker, because sometimes work or the employer can take advantage of certain situations of work, of employment, and that's why it was important that a trade union, to sort of mitigate and to bring a balance, was actually formed. And there was a history or a historical data to complement the Waterfront and Allied Workers Union, which actually began with a waterfront workers, that is, workers who actually worked on the docks, and where located now the ferry terminal that was the main port, that is prior to the Woodbridge Bay port. So where we now house the ferry terminal used to be the main port. So this particular port, several men who were actually around the city would culminate, and they would be those who would be working the ship. Then they used to be called the Vieux Nègres Bord and looked down at, looked down at. Society looked on them and never realized that one day they would have been playing a pivotal role. And then from there, the Woodbridge Bayport was constructed. Do we have our special guest? I'm just trying to connect with my producer. So yes, the Woodbridge Bayport, and then we Waterfront and Allied Workers Union continued. We had the CSA. One remember that 47-day strike, which actually brought down the government of Patrick Roland John. Then it was a major force from the trade union. It was a combined trade union movement where it actually crippled, stifled the various avenues, the various arteries of Dominica. The ports were closed down, the airports were closed down, and teamed up with some of the private unions. Then also knocked out. But we are getting set for our special program from St. Lucia. We are already late, but we are trying to move into. So, Dominica, I just want to remind ourselves that it is important to recognize the day as not a day for CWO. Top CWO man a plaster man. It's a day for dedicated to the workers. And don't be surprised if one of those days, this day will be struck off the books and people may have to go to work, because it's not a day where we actually come together and talk about the minimum wage, talk about what's automation has done to the workforce, how our employers presently treating their workers better, working conditions for the workers, addressing the dangerous cargo, respect for workers. Gone are the days when, the worker or the working force was very instrumental. So we have to get a way to actually bring back that working unit. So we are actually now, can we say good morning? We're still waiting to say good morning to Earl Bousquet in St. Lucia. We were scheduled to actually talk about a language, and we are getting some challenges, which is okay. Um, now and then, but soon from now we'll be actually hooking up with our brother belatedly. But in the meantime, what has happened? They say the society evolved, culture evolved. So Marigot used to have a special event during the May Day, the original day of the jazz festival or jazz and Creole festival used to be Pentecost weekend. But somewhere along the line, it was switched to May Day to coincide with a day Marigot themselves had their own May Day activities there. So we now have two activities during that period, the Marigot celebrations and also the Jazz and Creole Festival, which take place at the Cabrits. I have some concerns, but that is something possibly we can discuss at another time in terms of the name, in terms of the objective, in terms of the content, in terms of the music. I did some scouting around as to the ferry terminal and whether visitors have been coming in droves like the other festivals, but belatedly that hasn't happened. So again, it augurs that our Dominican base will be moving across to the Cabrits. So once again, that's what we have, and that's what we should patronize for the weekend, the Jazz and Creole. And it is very good for the town of Portsmouth, I must say. And you heard a major business player asking for the business community in Portsmouth to come on board and embrace the opportunity. Quite a bit of people from around Dominica will transcend on Portsmouth. So, despite whatever variation that we may be experiencing, it's good to see that the town of Portsmouth is decentralized from the activities around Roseau and now everyone is now heading to the north. There are several fringe events taking place. I know several took place already. Alias Frances had a major activity dedicated to Kalin XP. We know that there were several other activities all over Dominica, and even this weekend, lots of other activities. So Marigot will have its major May Day celebration activities and Jazz and Creole with the highlight and the main stage this coming Sunday. For those of you who may be actually wondering some of the acts that are coming to perform at the Jazz and Creole, Swinging Stars, 63 and counting years, or 64 years and counting in the business. There's also Colton T, fast rising, hard driving dancehall reggae artist. Itana from Jamaica will also be part of it. We also have Marie Claire Giroux. She has been uh, around for some time doing a sort of opera jazz. And we have several other acts. Signal Band also made it. Do we have some response? Do we have something coming through? We are still getting some difficulty. But in the meantime, we are just talking about things that are taking place culturally. We also have a major activity carried for the 24th in Dominica, and that's the Memorial Cup, which is carried for Martinique, Guadeloupe, and also Dominica, where the West African nation Benin will actually come down. The ambassador for Benin to the Caribbean will be part of this entourage. So Dominica, a connection, a link is finally going to be made directly where Benin national basketball team will come down to Dominica. As a matter of fact, they will commence their tour in Martinique. It's the Memorial Cup in Martinique. Then they come down to Dominica. And then whilst in Dominica, they are expected to meet several officials, special event at the State House. They also plan to move across to the Kalinago territory to visit and to get some historical data on the Kalinago territory. And then they move across to Martinique. But then in Dominica, the games that are carried for the 24th, which is one day before Africa Day, which used to be Africa Liberation Day. Africa Liberation Day normally is May 25th. It falls on a Sunday this year. And I can tell you from the reparation standpoint, several things are planned for, in particular, educating our people more on our African heritage. And several major speakers are planned to do a Zoom roundup, and including possibly the leader of Barbados, possibly Dr. Hilary Beckles, to try to kind of get us Okuma. We seem to have been way behind in the education of our people in who we are. So African Liberation Day is the 25th, but the Dominica game, where the Tri-Nation Cup will be hosting the Benin national team, that will be on the 24th. So Matnik will go up against Guadeloupe, and then Dominica, that's the Dominica All-Star national team, will go against Benin. First time ever. So it's an opportunity for economic relations. We hope that we can get our players together. We can get that economic viability. They will be staying housed in the north of Dominica once again. So the north of Dominica will see some economic activity in terms of the accommodation. Massac will be the place. That's the Massac facility will be the place for the Major Basketball Memorial Cup. And from there, we move across to Guadeloupe. And very importantly, Guadeloupe, the activity will take place in Gosier. And Gosier is a very friendly town to us Dominicans. That's where Exile One resided when they actually created the Cadence Lips of Music. Gramax also resided in Gosier. Quite a bit of the bands during the 70s resided in Gosier. So they will be actually having the activities at the Gosier facility, a lovely facility there. And the town of Gosier, the mayor of Gosier is also part of really bringing this together. So it's a total sporting, cultural activity, sports tourism, which is critical those days, very important those days. And we have to really be part of this extravaganza and be part of it. And by the way, the people who are in the small business, if you are able to move across to Guadeloupe, that is for the 27th, because the game in Guadeloupe will be on the 27th. And the 27th is the actual day of the abolition. That's when they celebrate the actual day for the abolition of slavery in Guadeloupe. And a major exhibition is also planned for the facility in Gosier, a major trade show. So if you can make your way to Guadeloupe around that time, some of your products will be allowed to be showcased. The French are getting themselves ready to be a French holiday as they celebrate the abolition of slavery on the 27th of May. So they're getting themselves ready. The promotions already ongoing, and quite a bit of activities are planned in Guadeloupe for this major Memorial Day Cup. It's a Creole Memorial Day Cup. Another major activity you could look forward to is the poker games. And the poker games where the community, once again, a northern community of Tukari, will house its third edition, where boaters and boat owners are asked to participate in this major boating event carried for the 24th of August, and a grand prize of $10,000 for grabs. So if you own a boat, people who own a boat, you could register at the Almond Deck in Tukari, and I can tell you quite a bit of the French are already included. I should join the team, Reggie Austria and the team in Guadeloupe somewhere around the 14th, 15th, somewhere around there, where we have a major promotion in Guadeloupe to actually encourage the French. We have been on the ground having discussions with them in both the French territories of Martinique, Guadeloupe, also Marie-Galante, Lecet, and Desirade. So we are going to get participants from those islands to partake in this major poker run. And it's not a race, but it's a run leaving the Deepwater Harbor on the 24th from 7 a.m. and with several stops to climax at Poker City, Tukari. And the team with the most points in terms of the poker, because whenever you stop, you get a chance to pick up your cards, and the team with the most points, when added up, will win the championship and a grand prize of $10,000. But you can register, especially fishermen, boaters, people who own boats in and around Dominica. You can register at the Almond Deck. Registration for a boat, a captain, and six other people would be $800. So quite a bit of activities as we get you Kuma, and I mean authentic activities to include the French are going to take place. So the poker run is the 24th. The Creole Memorial Cup carried for the 22nd to the 27th, and Dominica's game will be on the 24th. The Africa Day, which used to be Africa Liberation Day, will actually take place in Dominica on the 24th. So the African Liberation Day, sorry, is the 25th, which is Sunday. I understood several other activities are taking place on that day. But one must remember it's the 25th, that's African Liberation Day, and already we are trying to, that's the reparation committee's end, trying to have discussions with the leader, a very powerful lady, the leader of Barbados, and also Hilary Beckles and another guest from the African continent. So quite a bit of activities. So I'll allow my producer to actually give us a message where we have been really scourged with violence all over. And this is a message to remind us that we have to do something about ourselves. Let's take a message and then we get right back to Creole Heartbeat in a different way today. And that's because we can't get in touch with our host. We have our chief tech, feverishly trying to get a connection through, which we have been unable to. But in the meantime, let's take a message to remind ourselves that we have to say no to every form of violence in Dominica.
This is a message from the Creole ambassador of language and culture in Dominica, Prince Wadix. Our ancestors endured the unimaginable. They withstood the brutality of the whip, the horror of rape, the agony of chains, the pain of being stripped of dignity and freedom. Yet they rose, they fought, they survived, so we could live free. Today we are no longer enslaved by chains, but some of us are still imprisoned in our minds. Youth violence, violence against women, disrespect, destruction. These are the new chains that hold us back. It is time to break the cycle. Young people, you are the dream our ancestors fought for. You are the new warriors. Fight not with your fists or hate, but with knowledge, respect, and unity. To every man and woman listening, violence against women must end and end now. Youth violence must stop and stop now. We owe it to those who suffered before us. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to the future. Let us not betray their sacrifice. Let us free our minds and lift up each other and build a nation of peace, pride, and power. Let's break the chains once and for all. Let's live in unity. Let's rise as one people, one blood, one nation, Dominica. This message by the Creole ambassador of language and culture in Dominica, Prince Wax. God bless the people of Dominica.
Ok, donc on dit merci, un pile à comme messieurs, mesdames, nous là, messieurs. Normalement, nous supposons venir un grand invité de cette ici, et ça c'est pourquoi nous là, bon matin là, nous tout vite était en ordre. Mais quand ça nous tremper là, nous t'es supposé venir un grand invité, Earl Bousquet. Et puis, Earl Bousquet, c'est un grand journaliste à cette ici, et puis, il a travaillé avec Voice Publishing Company et puis il a fait un pile différents bulletins en journalisme et puis c'est un grand journaliste ici à part de ça il a fait un pile travail pour un monde esclavage aussi. Normalement, nous supposons là avec lui, mais nous sommes supposés parler créole aussi parce que langage nous, c'est créole et puis sous nous, aujourd'hui là, supposé créole, nous sommes parler, nous essayer de parler de langage créole là, mais nous sommes nous tromper là. Et puis, technicien là, messieurs, mesdames, qui assisté nous pour nous faire ça tout le temps. À part de ça, messieurs, mesdames, nous savons c'est Week-end jazz à Dominique et puis nous souhaiter tout le monde qui a passé un bon petit moment. Nous souhaiter tout le monde qui a amusé quoi bien monsieur parler pour des gars pas regarder pour pièce 3K pas regarder pour tout débat messieurs mesdames et puis si vous avez conduit monsieur pas faire ça ou pas qu'à boire pièce warm bassou et puis ou sous la rue ou pas bouger pièce accident monsieur et puis nous avons dit tout le monde monsieur et puis si nous avons descendu monter notre pays là si nous avons monté notre pays là ça c'est à Guantos fait ça tout bagaille OK avec zone yon monde qui ça conduit voiture là si ils ont boire anti yon des bibi et puis yon des koubouli c'est ça c'est un tas pour monde fêter mais à part de ça c'est pour ne pas oublier ces jours travailler aussi parce que plus le monde qui a oublié c'est depuis ces vacances depuis ces février ces vacances c'est une gros fête mais ne pas ni pour oublier mais des jours travailler messieurs mesdames jour travailler c'est un jour pour travailler célébrer jour ça, c'est un spécial jour pour travailler. Tout le monde qui travaille. Tout partout. Et puis, tout différents monde qui a célébré le 1er mai. Et puis, nous, après ça, nous avons célébré le 1er mai avant. Mais après ça, nous avons célébré le 1er lundi en mai. C'est, quand nous avons fêté, c'est pour ne pas oublier ça parce qu'il y a pile monde, pile monde qui gourmet pour jouer ça. Et yon ce jour là c'est un gros fête nous on les parties nous on les sibo. Yon ce jour là ça nous perd jour là ça. Et nous t'ai parlé tout le monde en anglais là tout à l'heure là en anglais, il tenait gros célébration avant et puis ce jour là ça et puis ce jour là ça c'est un party moun ga aller sur plage, moun ga sauter, moun ga c'est faut nous river et puis nous ça petites affaires. Mais c'est faut ne pas oublier jour là, mais c'est jour là, c'est jour travailler. Et c'est un jour spécialement pour nous, il y a une spéciale significance à l'histoire nous, parce que pile différents monde, grande bataille. C'est pas tout le temps nous tenir jour ça, hein. Nous quand faire comme si nous t'es toujours ni jour ça, si nous pas toujours ni jour ça. On peut le monde gourmet pour ça ici le black, de faire ici le black, Arnold Active, et puis Zabokayo, et puis Alvin, ça boys moi Alvin Atlanta, Smith yo te ka gourmet pour jour comme ça. Et puis ce jour là ça il c'est un gros fête, c'est faut nous ça mélanger, man des monde mort puis monde mité mais nous ça mélanger, vous comprenez nous ça mélanger, nous ça faire certain nous on est rejoue ça, aller l'église et puis nous ca parler ni une discussion quand travailler à Dominique, nous avons un petit problème avec minimum wage, nous avons différents habitants, nous ça parler, discuter. Et puis nous avons pour faire certain, nous prier pour un bon Dieu, nous plus force, plus courage pour continuer le travail. Et puis vous savez, de toi, monde qui a employé monde, qui a prendre avantage à ce monde. Et puis, plutôt aussi, ou pas les grandes écoles, ou pas les gros cervelles, ou pas les master's degree, les fois, ils ont avantage à ça. Et ça, c'est pourquoi ça, c'est un jour pour nous réfléchir sur tout ça qui a passé. Et les gens, normalement, qui a fait plus l'argent passer les autres. Mais c'est un jour pour nous discuter comme nous ça fait un jour là même. Et puis, la vie à Dominique plus simple, plus intéressant, vous comprenez? Et puis, ça, c'est pourquoi nous avons mélangé, nous supposons mélanger. So, when it jazz, ça, c'est jazz, c'est dimanche, mais jour là, jour vacances là, c'est lundi. So, nous avons dit, est-ce que tout le monde là, monsieur, nous avons, ok, nous avons travaillé là pour faire ça, même si c'est 15 minutes, nous sommes là, nous avons parlé avec invité nous, mais nous avons dit, moi, pour parler toujours, so, on va parler toujours, messieurs, mesdames, pas de problème, mais à part de ça, il y a des fêtes, il y a des ça, c'est jazz and Creole, et puis il y a tous différents événements, on peut différents habitants qui ont passé, et puis il y a toutes les différents événements qui ont passé à Guantas même, et c'est pour ces gens là en nord, pour ces gens là en nord pays là, donc vraiment disons, c'est fort, à boire ces causes autres, faire certain, laisser ces gens là descendre, faire certain tout le en nord, et puis yo. Ça, c'est un temps pour Nord faire un l'argent, c'est gens là qui a planté, c'est pêcher là, c'est différents gens qui ont libre service, et puis magasin. C'est un temps pour faire un l'argent, pas de problème.
It's my
Me,
capital.
okay, apre sa mwen ka we bite la. Mwen ka we
Mine is
bite
okay.
la,
All right.
mwen sa ka fe mwen plezi la. E ka sa mwen ka we an ti bite la. Mwen ka we an ti bite la, eske tout bite pa we la, nou goume la pou sa se poukwa. It's a number one. My brother, oh, Buske, what's up, my friend?
Yes. Thanks for the patience. Merci pour toute patience. You usab génération aujourd'hui pas ni patience. You can do. I'm not a hospital. Patience is for hospital.
Se wè ki sav sa. E sa ka fet, mwen wè go jazz koumase a set resi wè, ayayay.
Oui,
An
oui, oui,
pil
oui,
moun di
oui.
la, gwa koumasman.
La ten 10 000 moun an yon place, oui.
10,000 moun an yon plas.
Oui, oui.
Ma,
C'est ici qu'a gardé pour ce capital GOT en Caraïbes là parce que après jour de l'an, c'est indépendance, après indépendance, c'est jazz, après jazz, c'est carnaval et calypso, après ça, c'est emancipation, après ça, c'est journée créole. Parti qui a donné, il y a là.
Oh, Buske, di se moun la, di pep la ti boykot, ki moun ki ol, mwen deja di yo, epi mwen deka li yon bite la, mwen deka di yo, chair of the St. Lucia National Reparations Committee, and member
Oui,
of the CARICOM Reparations Committee, also senior political correspondent, talk show host, and voice columnist, and the editor of the Voice of St. Lucia. That's a go me, epi 49 years
oui,
in
oui,
this
oui.
business,
Well,
ou la toujou.
aujourd'hui tout bail là, excepté moi pas editor voice là encore. Moi quand écoute tout le yo ka sorti 2 fois par semaine, mercredi et week-end avec il passé 10 ans moi, en chaque numéro yo parce que non column moi c'est Chronicles of a Chronic Caribbean Chronicler.
Oh, Chronicles of a Caribbean
Of a
Chronicler.
chronic Caribbean chronicler. Moi malade écrit, ça c'est maladie moi. Chronicle, moi pas chronicle tout bagay.
Moi, mais ça. Tell us about
Moi fini un programme à ce
uh-huh.
non c'est all at large, il bilang ni en anglais à créole tous les dimanches à midi pour donner de temps.
Uh-huh.
En anglais c'est all at large avec un créole nous avons dit all à bon code.
Moi, mais ça, moi, mais ça. Kuma Creole la ye a St. Lucie? How is the language, Creole language in St. Lucia and the development of the language?
Well, I'll have to give a little bit of bilingual history,
No problem.
bilingually, from the standpoint that the we know that we came to meet Creole, we came to know how it came about as our own indigenous popular mix of African, Caribbean, and European languages with interlinking bases, and those in territories that were formerly French controlled Martinique, Guadeloupe, St. Lucia, Grenada, Trinidad, Guyana, and many other Caribbean territories where it seems to be forgotten that the French have big footprints. We also have the existence of the Creole language, so that when Sparrow sang Sasaye back in the 70s, people wanted to know how come a Grenadian was singing in Creole in Trinidad, but it's because he learned Creole and Latin in Grenada before going to Trinidad. But Trinidad also had a strong French background, and therefore you still have areas in Trinidad that have Creole names. And manière nous ni link là, c'est moi ka bay un exemple, moi toujours ka bay. À nous point ça yo ka kwe en anglais pigeon peas.
Where?
Nous tout ka di pigeon peas.
Mm-hmm.
But purchase it, the thing is marked pigeon peas. Mais
Mm-hmm.
en créole, en cette ici, nous ka kwe pois en gol.
Where?
Bon pois en gol,
Let me tell Dominic.
pigeon peas.
Where?
En Jamaïque, yo ka kwe gongo peas.
Wow.
Mais gongo peas, c'est pas créole Jamaïque pour pigeon peas. Alors, gongo peas avec ça nous a créé ici à pois en gol, c'est poids qui vient ici en temps esclavage.
Ouais.
Parce que poids ça là, c'est lui qui n'est plus vitamine. Avec qui tenait une grande spiritualité qui attaché avec lui. Alors là, yo te kidnappé après et puis que ka aller puis yo sans hada sur yo. A sorti fob là yo ni at yo ka mettre 4 5 6 et puis 10 ti gwen poids.
Ouais.
Pour là yo tomber en horizon là, pour peut-être yo sa land safe.
Ouais.
Et là tout le temps yo prend pour arriver en Caraïbes là avec en Amérique ko yo ka courir à présent. Là yo arrivé safe. Yo considéré ces plans qui ba yo chance là. Avec yo planté plan ça, poids Angol avec Gongo Peas. Puisqu'on nous tous savons, ou quand ni gwen pas ça là, il a fait 2 ans, ou qu'a planté, il a levé toujours. So, laisse ça arriver ici, avec ces Africains qui ont esclavage, qui ont servi, ils ont planté, ils commencent à lever un jardin, c'est Bétia.
Ouais.
Et que ces Bétia commencent à acquiser ces house slaves là, ils ont venir planter, manger nègre.
Ouais.
En jardin yo. Mais un scientiste dit yo c'est pigeon qui ka mordé pois et kaka pendant temps yo ka volé et ko tombe la élevé.
Ouais.
Alors yo venu découvrir importance nutrient pois avec yo créé pigeon peas. Ici sorti un caca pigeon.
Ouais.
Mais c'est après aujourd'hui. Là, nous dit poids Angole Saint-Lucie, c'est poids qui sorti Angola.
Ouais.
Poids Angola Peas. C'est
Ouais.
ça qui est supposé en anglais. Avec un Jamaïque, ça veut dire Gongo Peas, c'est sorti Congo. Congo Peas. Alors, parce que bagaille, moi, apprendre Guadeloupe.
Ouais.
En ces études là, nous avons commencé à regarder Valais côté nous sortis. Avec nous commencé à faire recherche ici. Avec nous établi en 1973-74 place recherche folklore. Avec nous commencé à faire recherche à sous le langage créole. Avec nous joindre permission pour aller en ces la là pour apprendre prisonnier pour écrire avec lui en créole.
Prison à Saint-Lucie ou en Guadeloupe?
Non, c'est ici.
Saint-Lucie, ok.
Oui, oui. Ça, c'est avant l'indépendance.
Ok, bon.
Avec mouvement, ça l'a venu monter. Il était fait Dominique tout.
Ouais.
Nous travaillons pour un. Ou un mouvement créole là, t'es qu'à lever cette lycée avec Dominique.
Ouais.
Martinique et Guadeloupe. À même là, côté nous avons commencé à apprécier Wassine français, Wassine africain nous.
Ouais.
Et langue communalité, c'est créole. Alors, venir indépendance 1979, cette lycée, nous passer, nous recogniser créole, mais pas officiellement. Parce qu'à l'est, il y a plus de monde qui a parlé avec copain créole, parce qu'il a parlé anglais. Avec en 1997, le mouvement est déjà venu bien fort et qui a commencé baisse à sous ça nous tu apprendre il a commencé à faire course en créole en université Martinique Guadeloupe la France mais pas en Caraïbes anglais mais University of the West Indies commencé à recogniser ces certificats là alors nous menons créole sorti en langue qui te yo te ka dit ça c'est langue vieille femme qui pas ni dents. Comment c'est bêtier à te ka école. Langue vieille femme qui pas ni dents. Pour nous tirer sorti ça avec en 1997 le gouvernement recognisé officiellement créole comme langue nationale cette ici avec anglais comme langue officielle.
Répétez ça, répétez ça, répétez ça encore, M. Bousquet.
Oui, en 1997,
Uh-huh.
Gouvernement entré avec désigné par Dr. Kenny Anthony, qui nous ni deux langues cette ici. Nous ni langue créole, c'est langue nationale nous. Ça c'est langue nation. Et langue anglaise, c'est langue officielle. Puis c'est ça nous avons fait business, c'est ça nous avons appris l'école. Nous passons à replacer créole, puis nous menons créole l'école. Avant nous, ça apprendre mutué l'écrit.
Ouais.
So, depuis 1997 pour à présent, 2025, ça c'est about 28, 30 years.
Ouais.
Tout meeting parlement, premier meeting parlement, tous les throne speech avant budget là, gouverneur ni pour délivrer speech li en anglais et en créole.
Ouais.
Vous comprenez?
Ouais.
En anglais avec un créole. So peut-être si vous passez par les créoles, ça fait throne speech là, vous pas arriver gouverneur.
Si vous passez par l'école, vous passez à gouverner.
Parce que la loi, c'est pour délivrer. Mais aujourd'hui, je joue à Internet, on est robotique tout bail. Nous avons écrit là, nous avons juste mettre moi en bouche, ou quand nous avons dit, pas jamais dit. C'est comme là. Mais aujourd'hui, je joue, bagage changé en chai. Depuis Internet arrivé en 1990s là, jeunesse qui venait la majorité en Dominique Setlissi avec Caraïbes là, yo quitté radio et TV by maman yo, by papa parents yo, avec yo aller online.
Social media.
C'est en anglais. Number one. Number two, il a fait yo pas de patience. Tout le monde pour bref. Yo pas de temps pour coûter un bail trop longtemps. Vous savez, les mamans aller, là nous te caille danser. Ou ka danser whole soir. Depuis musique la ka aller, jodi joue pièce DJ passage jouer en whole chanter. C'est petit morceau yo ka va oui là come again. Yo pas ça danser chanter entier. Yo pas de patience. Avec ça qui fait à présent en casse de cette liste, nous venons indépendant 1979. Moi quoi ou même c'est 1978.
1978 pour Dominique, ouais.
Oui. So, nous n'y en entre nous, mais nous n'y même embrasser le gage nous et culture nous, puisque journée créole, c'est ça qui fait mener plus attention pour importance créole. Bagay nous te ka garder, just ouais, nous commençons à mettre significance par eux. Nous commençons à ouais, madras, qui manière madras, c'est en toile coulée, en toile indien, mais qui manière il a servi pour Africain. Parce que ça venait en temps indentureship avec Africain, avec Giant, you take a keep the wheels of fortune turning.
Ouais.
Vous savez, you take a battre Sénégal, mais pas take a battre Sénégal, mais nous take a fait même bagaille là, qu'a fait richesse là, by mettre là.
Ça c'est pourquoi madras même nous c'est un symbole de créole aussi.
Oui, c'est un symbole. Ça, c'est un symbole, pas seulement, mais moi, je dis, Magoué pas africain. C'est un symbole alliance là entre ces africains et ces indentured servants là. Puis ces africains pas te vieux Afrique.
Ouais.
Ils restent ici. Ils étaient libres.
Indentured servant là, ils étaient India. India.
C'est eux qui mènent madras là.
Ouais.
Vous comprenez? Mais là, ils tous les deux c'était esclaves. Ils tirent chaîne en pied nous, mais ils mettent en l'estomac nous. So, aujourd'hui, je joue à présent là, fast forward. Influence Internet, IT, robotics, avec tout ça qui pas qu'à faire en créole. Maman avec un chaïdi nous, joignent nous en Facebook, Instagram, nous plus online parce que offline. avec nous ka vle police solve crime manière nous ka à CSI à sous TV et nous ka oublié ça en bas qui fait pour nous ça ouais un whole système justice en yon temps
Ouais.
avec nous pas ni ces qualité bagay là c'est mon nan li là nous ka ouais pour ça solve crime côté nous ye. Mais aujourd'hui jour en cette ici malheureusement avec peut-être ça dit nous about Dominic malheureusement cette liste à présent depuis 1979 pour à présent nous avons 46 years avec la majorité cette liste faite après indépendance. So ça nous ni ces jeunesse là yo ka plus amusé quoi yo avec musique créole
Ouais.
mais yo pas ka apprendre langage là yo ka apprendre phrase là garçon moi actif moi ka vinn demander mais qui ça mot ça là ka dit avec le mot dit yo ka dit oh avec yo ka servir avec yo ka chanter
Ouais.
mais c'est pas pour éducation c'est pour faire blague.
Vous faites blague seulement.
Oui, pour faire blague. Mais nous, ni musique là, nous, ni musique là, ici, ou ni Dominique, avec rôle musique pour mener créole, côté y est aujourd'hui, nous pas ça sous-estimer ça.
Parce que,
Rôle
parce que Hot Guadeloupe, Kassav même, tout ça,
Kassav.
tout son Kassav, c'est en créole. Et
Oui,
là, on
Kassav,
dit que Daspitio, presque toutes ces sons
Kassav,
Daspitio, c'est en créole.
yo tout,
Ouais.
tout, tout. Moi-même, moi, style ni record, moi, style ni cassette. Vous savez, les
Ouais,
moi,
ouais,
le monté, monté, anti-moi, CD, pas CD, c'est pas là, nous, qu'a servi longtemps.
Records, discs, vinyl,
Oui,
vinyl.
le monté en record, ça nous a créé record. Le monté ça, et moi, dit, qu'il joué tous les deux sides. Vous savez, ça dit, moi, oui, j'aurais really du bon, j'aurais des CD qui te joué à tous les deux sides. C'est ça, ouais, un CD, ouais.
Là, ouais, record, là, il dit, c'est quoi CD qui a joué?
Il a voulu qui gosse Walkman nous.
Il va déconnecter record player, nous te dit.
Non, c'est pas même ça. Nous sommes mener sur Internet, là, mais c'est ça. Nous
Ouais,
sommes avec Dio 45, avec 43, avec Dio avant, ça c'était 76. Tout ça.
Mais après ça, Creole à toute l'école à Saint-Lucie.
Non, il parle toute l'école. Nous avons mené Creole, Premier ministre là, nous est à présent, depuis 2021, il établit un système pour ministre éducation venu avec un curriculum pour mener Creole l'école. Mais il y a trois manières. En infant to primary, secondaire, avec un college, avec tertiary. So, aussi, nous avons fait avec computer. Nous avons mené simultaneously en chaque école. À certains lieux, certains jours. Même quand nous avons fait reparations committee, en certains jours, dernier mardi, tous les mois, toute l'école a ouvert, nous avons fait reparations nous en anglais avec un créole.
I know this en anglais parce que ça c'est important. Ça important. Dis ça au sorti de là en anglais.
Oui, one of the good things that the National Reparations Committee has been able to do is to use the bilingual approach of English and Creole to promote reparations. So, for example, the National Reparations Committee in 2020 started an annual program, Schools History and Reparations Program, where we link with schools in St. Lucia, but also across the Caribbean. Not all countries participate, but those that participate, it is at the same time online, facilitated by the UETV and the UE Global Campus communication series, and you at the national level could share it with whichever you want. But it is not a matter of the choice of the principal. It is part of the curriculum because the PS of Education has written to all schools, all principals, indicating to them as a part of national policy, once a month on the last Tuesday of every month from 10 a.m. to midday, every school must participate. So every school has a TV, the students can use their phone, their computer, etc. And we deliver those lectures in English and Creole, and we take calls from the Caribbean, from St. Lucia, and from the diaspora.
So, let me just get what you're saying. So, you have a center where you actually giving the information in both English and Creole, and all schools between 10 and 12 on the last Tuesday have to hook up to that
Yes, and the center we have is the one you have there. We're doing it online.
online.
Online, yeah. All the presentations, one presenter is in St. Lucia, one in Trinidad, one in Haiti.
And for 2 hours.
Two
Why not?
hours, yeah. They
Why
can,
Dominica isn't involved?
that, huh?
Why Dominica is not involved?
Don't they right now as we speak, the program is not on. They're just about to approve the funds for us to continue it.
Okay,
Okay, Damian Dublin, your
chairman.
yeah, he is aware of this, and he up to this morning was inquiring when we're going to start. Okay,
Mhm.
so the how they call it, the Prime Ministerial Subcommittee on Reparations of CARICOM has approved the funds, and they're about to meet next week so that the funds can be distributed so that we could continue that program. But more than that, what we will also be able to do is to share with your committee and others all of the recordings from the previous session,
Beginning, yes, this is excellent stuff.
because
But
that
then
would be
it is very important. But then, see, what I love about it is the stipulation in the curriculum, the school
yes.
curriculum, that
Yeah,
every
yeah, yeah, yeah,
school
yeah. They don't have
in
choice
St. Lucia,
because some headmasters, some principals tell you they're not in that reparation thing.
but they have
Similarly, like with locks, I know the Ministry of Education have something somewhere where the minister say once children cover their hair, they can come to school, but it wasn't made law. So right now, principals of each school decide whether they will allow children to come to school with locks, and it is causing a problem because in most cases, in many cases, their parents went to school with locks.
yeah,
And today you're telling them. So all of these things the Prime Minister is saying have to be institutionalized. So the three main goals is taking Creole to school at
yeah.
three levels. Um, we have an Emancipation Month, not an Emancipation Day. From 2021, we have had an Emancipation Month, the entire month.
From that's in August.
Yes, and it starts on July 31st, which is the International Day for People of African Descent, and it goes into August 1st, Emancipation Day, and it ends on August 31st. Okay?
I also saw that you had a major match for the young leader of Burkina Faso.
Yeah, for Ibrahim Traore, that was on Wednesday, the 25th
That's
of
Wednesday this week.
30th, yeah. Wednesday, the 30th of April, it was a day of international solidarity with Burkina Faso because the young 34-year-old captain who has taken over since the 22nd of September, since September 2022, he has done remarkable things to bring Burkina Faso out of. You see, the same way we used to say Guyana is the
Yeah.
second poorest country in the Western Hemisphere after Haiti.
Yes.
When we know Guyana have oil, gold, diamonds, and
Yeah.
everything, and Haiti have even more, but they were still considered the poorest. Burkina Faso was considered the poorest in its part of the region. And what they have done is in those countries where France had 14 colonies, there are 14 ex-French colonies in Africa, and they're increasingly getting rid of the French interests that have been manipulating their resources. Take, for example, the resources needed to pursue atomic and nuclear energy in France and Europe, they would be buying it for 80 cents from Burkina Faso and selling it for 200 US.
Wow.
You know, so
Yeah.
in 2 years of taking that over and selling it at the right price, Burkina Faso has paid all its debt. They have set up a factory to refine their own gold. They established factories to do their own coffee and tomato paste. The the government has given 400 tractors free of charge to farmers. And very importantly, in that big country where they only have 3,000 kilometers of paved roads, the government has nationalized the road construction industry, cut off the middleman, purchase all the equipment necessary to engage in road construction, and the government is going to build the roads and the highways through government departments, cutting out the European or American middle people. Of course, that type of development is not the sort of thing that the richest countries in the world, the G7, UK, Germany, Japan, France, Canada, and the others, they will not allow that. And therefore, they claim that he's not calling elections. But with or without elections, there have been 21 assassination attempts against President Ibrahim Traore, right?
Yeah.
21 assassination attempts in 31 months.
Wow.
That's more than.
Uh, let me tell you, I want us to continue that conversation and to even go deeper into the Creole language, but we have to make way for the news. Can we set up next week Friday? But this time, let's hope our connection can be better.
Yes, certainly. Is it
And
only on Fridays? Because
no, I have other days, but
I record my weekend program on Fridays, but next Friday will be okay because we're in jazz.
okay, great. So next Friday, let's make a date next Friday. We'll
And
continue
I'll
about the
log in from
reparation,
10:30.
and then we'll continue on our Creole. And you will bring you can even invite the guy from the Institute, the Creole
Oh, yeah,
Institute.
Monsignor Dr. Patrick Anthony.
Absolutely. I really want to thank you, my brother. You're
Him.
I mean, truly one of the Caribbean's greatest. And I'm
Yes,
so
yes.
honored and privileged to actually have a little discussion, even if it was short. But all the love and that connection that you have just built, my brother, let's move this to a different level. And I just want to remind you how much I love you and take care of yourself.
Let's call this the beginning of a continuing friendship and cooperation.
Thank you very much, Earl Bousquet of St. Lucia, the Helen of the West. And like I said, he's the chair of the St. Lucia National Reparations Committee and a member of the CARICOM Reparations Committee, also senior political correspondent, talk show host, and voice columnist. 49 years journey as a chronic Caribbean chronicler exploring the intersection of St. Lucia. This was another Creole Heartbeat program. And until we meet again sometime next week, I want to wish you the best of the jazz weekend in Dominica. And once again, messieurs, mesdames, pas oublier, messieurs, toutes n'importe ça qu'on fait pour week-end la verset ou tes messieurs, j'en ai dié à mi-temps parce que c'est lui qui alpha et oméga commencement et finissement, messieurs, mesdames. Chebe fort panadje et à ce côté, tout le monde Caraïbe là, tout le monde Saint-Lucie Dominique. Donc, moi, c'est Wadek Chebe fort panadje. Au canot qui coule par capécher notre navigé. Donc, ouais, nous encore, tchédje, dédé, bye bye.
Je ne sais qui l'a fait, il pas que moi dit qui a poussé. For only one